coaching hires, award winners, new jerseys filled with new schedules, and an in-game highlight that had Sports Center Top 10 written all over it. No, you are not dreaming. This is just a sneak peek at what we went through last week, and so now we're going to put it all together when you find yourself listening to the Minot Sports Podcast, now on to episode 8 in season number 2. Hello and good day to you, Minot Sports fans. Today is Monday, October 5th, a day sitting right between a fun-filled weekend and looking ahead into the new week in Minot Sports. Again, welcome. This is episode 8 into season 2, and we have a lot to talk about on this one. So many things happening. You mix that with news. Think about it, people. We are getting back to a lot more normalcy than where we were at, let's say, a month or two ago. Lots to talk about today. Lots on the plate. We got some local volleyball between the Class B schools. We got a new hockey schedule to talk about. That should be fun. An update from the West Region Tennis Tournament. Also some hockey preseason, some players, one in particular, standing out. Minot State Athletics, I mentioned last week in practice. They're starting to have a few more fun events added to the list. A coaching hire from one of the baseball clubs, Minot High, finding themselves in a win-or-go-home situation for one of their athletics. Just so many to get through on the show today. Before we kick things off, just want to remind you guys that the Minot Sports Podcast is brought to you by KMSU TV and Radio. You can check us out on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel where you will find all the episodes. And I'm hoping to get some more of the interviews posted on there. I kind of got caught a little behind, but I will have those up soon. You can also do the same thing for the KMSU brand. Follow their social media pages and subscribe to their YouTube channel, which, speaking of, check out KMSU TV's weekly show, MSU Inside Out, being broadcasted every Thursday at 5 o'clock, talking about the latest in Minot State news, weather, sports, and interviews with some big names and personalities. Check out other KMSU brands linked to the department. Joshua Strong Photography, he does a nice job trying to improve his craft every day behind the camera. MSU Red and Green newspaper, now having released their second issue this past Thursday. Be sure to pick up a copy today so you can be informed of what's going on around Minot State. As you can hear, some of the professors in the background doing lots of great work inside the department to keep it up and running every day. Let us now get rolling. From the latest in the Minot sports world, lots to talk about. We'll start with some of the important matches for Minot High Athletics. Kicking us off with Minot High Soccer in a play-in game versus Dickinson. This is their first year, by the way, the Dickinson Midgets. Their first year of existence in the sport of soccer. That is right, they have not played any soccer seasons before this year, and so now this is their inaugural season, and they find themselves in a WDA state tournament play-in game. So for Minot High, it was win or go home. Win, and they're in. And that is what they did. They win over Dickinson, and they're into now the North Dakota 2020 state tournament for boys soccer. They will take on the West Fargo Cheyenne Mustangs in round 1. Kickoff tomorrow. It'll be later in the day, in the evening, going on over in West Fargo. Summarizing the game that just happened against Dickinson, Minot High, final score was 1-0. The lone goal coming from Cam Belinsky on a free kick. Boy, he sure picked his spot, and he picked it good. Over and around the defenders and the netminder, picking the lower left corner. That definitely had to have gotten the adrenaline rush going for the boys. So that one score, and that was all that they needed. This was a similar formula, although you had to think that they had intentions of scoring more, but this was a similar formula against Century, is same exact score, same exact way that they played, keeping to their identity. Defense was phenomenal once again at J.J. Duffner making some big saves too. But you also got to credit Dickinson. In their first season, they played Minot well. They may have been the road team or the non-Minot sports team, but you got to give these guys credit for their first season of play, going all the way to a state tournament play-in game. They played one of the best teams in their own division really well, and they almost got into the state tournament their first season. You got to give them credit. But for Minot High, they prevailed and found their way in the state tournament bracket, and they extend their season. Let's wish the boys a good luck in postseason action this week. Another Minot High team that has qualified for the state tournament, taking second in the West Region tournament, Minot High Magicians Tennis. Are we all surprised that they did this well? They made it all the way to that region championship game that certainly they were good enough to make it, and they fulfilled their expectations, and they came in, made it close against the Bismarck Legacy Sabres, who won the region championship game. Yeah, Minot High came close, but they managed getting the 2 wins of 3 matches to qualify for the state tournament. And so all that was left was that region championship game, which they weren't able to get. They did make it competitive, though. 3-2 the final score against Legacy. They beat the Bismarck High Demons 4-1 in round 1, and then they beat the Century Patriots in round 2, 4-1. That was their clincher right there. And so automatically getting a spot in the North Dakota 2020 State Tennis Tournament for the boys. They are in as well. Some of the awards from Minot High Tennis to pass along. Ridge Jagger and Zach Reno, all conference doubles. And then Ridge Jagger, a Senior Athlete Award winner. And then the head coach, Scott DeLorme, WDA Region Coach of the Year. Congrats, guys, and keep up the hard work. Good luck in the state tournament. Very well deserving athletes and coach for sure. The staff works hard to keep the team rolling every day. It's a good job and good luck. It is going to be interesting to see what the East brings out for Minot High. They were so good in the West. Will they keep that up against the East teams? Because they could be a whole different animal. But sticking to what they're doing, they have a chance to go far in the tournament. Because this one isn't like hockey, where the East is a powerhouse, or soccer, which I'll touch more on boys soccer here in a second, but for this one, anyone could win it. I mean, Minot High, they got a real shot at this. Legacy's probably the only main concern, although you want to focus on how you play and how you perform. Legacy, the one team that you've not been able to beat in the West, and who knows what the East could bring. So Minot High certainly has a chance in this one. They have the firepower to compete with the East, I believe. You never want to second-guess that East division, but Minot High certainly has the firepower to compete, and if they stick to their game plan, they got a shot at this. Going back to soccer, how's Minot High going to handle a tough environment like West Fargo Cheyenne, undefeated according to Coach Bachmeyer in the post-game report back on Saturday? Does 1 goal suffice against a tough Mustangs team? Certainly may not be enough to get the win, but Minot High, they got a lot of work coming for them, and they certainly, just like Minot High Tennis, have the firepower, the talent, and the game plan to go far. But the East is going to be a big test for them going into the state tournament. Again, West Fargo Cheyenne undefeated. If Minot High stays unfazed, it will be easier for them. But 1 goal and strong defense, you will certainly need some insurance goals in there if you're going to have a chance against the top team in the East. But again, the talent and the firepower, and if they stick to their game plan, Minot High Soccer has a chance against West Fargo Cheyenne, and same for Minot High Tennis in their respective state tournament. Let's wish the boys good luck, and may they come out, hopefully, on top. Our Redeemers and Bishop Ryan in volleyball action this past week. Bishop Ryan facing off with Deluxe Burlington Lakers. They're also in the Region 6 District 12 division. Lakers take that one 3-0 in a sweep. For our Redeemers, they defeat South Prairie 3-0. So they did what the Lakers did themselves. Both teams, mostly our Redeemers, still trying to make their mark, pushing for postseason competition. And in fact, Deluxe Burlington sitting at first right now in the same division as our Redeemers and Bishop Ryan. That is, again, the Region 6 District 12 for Class B volleyball. Right there in second are the Knights from our Redeemers. So they are still sitting fine in hopes they can push hard for the rest of the way here. And Bishop Ryan kind of looking middle in the pack right now, but they're still in competition for postseason action too. Both teams not out of it yet. And then there was another game played by the same our Redeemers Knights back on Friday, hosting a tough Langdon area Edmore Munich school that specializes pretty well in lots of athletics. Knights made it competitive early. They were hanging in there and ended up winning set 3, but the Cardinals closed them out. It was 3-1. However, that didn't happen without a spectacular play made by Kendal Braun, and it had Sports Center top 10 all over the entire thing. Down on the ground, ball was coming at her, manages to kick it with her foot over the net to avoid a score by Langdon, and then our Redeemers ended up getting the point after that sequence. The whole crowd went nuts. It was just amazing by Kendal Braun and what she did, and that is very hard to pull off. Certainly should be recognized as a top play or highlight. Quick and skilled she is indeed. Taking a look at some score updates here. Bishop Ryan football hosting South Prairie at Nedros on a Saturday matinee. And once again, Bishop Ryan, as usual, it is no competition. They shut out the Royals 59-0, adding on to their stacked list of wins and scores. The team is not slowing down. Minotauros hockey concluded their preseason schedule with a weekend doubleheader versus the Bismarck Bobcats. However, this one had a little extra spice to it because it was the war in Watford City. So both games were played at the Rough Rider Center. Minotauros and Bobcats getting ready to duel on the Friday and Saturday nights. Minotauros winning the first one 5-4. Jack Campion with the game winner with 17 seconds left in that one. And then Bismarck rebounding, beating Minot 4-1 in Saturday's match. Other goals scored by the Toros: Jack Westland twice, Ben Anderson, Dante Lawson, and Zach Keelan. That caps off the preseason for your Toros. They are now heading on to the home opener for the 2020-2021 season starting Friday, October 9th. It all begins, a new season, full season confirmed, fans confirmed, and media confirmed as well. I was informed that I can get post-game interviews, but I will need to social distance in the meantime. So an exciting time for Toros hockey, getting everything going again after a cancellation of the season last year. Let's get hyped for them as they start to build some new headlines. And then for the Toros neighbors inside the same arena, the Minot State men's hockey team, they teased last week, counting down until the schedule reveal. That did happen last Wednesday night. And so confirming for ACHA Division I college hockey, your Minot State Beavers will be playing this year. Just like the women's and the Toros, They are not linked directly to Minot State Athletics, so they have made their decision to play this year, whoever it was that made it. And now we have a schedule from them. It counted 16 home games, 34 total in the era that we are living in right now. A job well done by the Beavers to get even remotely close to 19, hovering around the 19 to 20 total number of home games there. They have their in-state rivalries with Jamestown, UMary, Williston State. Some of the Colorado teams, the Buffaloes and the Rams, Iowa State, they will also be facing off with. And then there's also the Midland Warriors on that list too. Gotta say, Minot sports fans, just everything is going right for the Minot hockey world at this time. So again, get hype and get excited. There will be games to go to, and a lot more of them. And while we are still on hockey, MSU women's team giving us a little sneak peek of their newest jerseys, changed up to have the logo of the MSU going diagonally on the middle plate where both sets of the shoulder fabric meet, adding some green in there, some black. I think they're going to look really nice. I do have it retweeted on the podcast Twitter, so if you want to check those out, you can find it on there. Minot State softball and baseball holding scrimmages, intra-squad scrimmages to be exact, in light of not having any sports going on. And I guess you can say the same thing for other MSU athletics. Good to see that they are making more awareness, presence in the news, giving the student athletes some bits of competition, even though it is not against other teams not from here, or it may not seem like actual competition, but they're giving the student athletes something to cheer for with this. And I think it's a good feeling, good for the spirit, good for the body. It's just good to see these guys out there in action, and also for the new recruits, the freshmen, also getting a chance to experience college athletics for the first time. So good for them. Minot State softball also hosting a nice little fun competitive game of what they call hit-a-thon. Kind of like the home run derby, except the players, it's two of them, one against each other, just have to hit it in the outfield and score as much as you can there. That is going on at the South Hill Softball Complex, and then Minot State Beavers baseball at Corbett Field, playing some scrimmage games, getting some encouraging signs, some looks at a lot of the roster. They have their highlights posted on their Twitter. MSU track and field, scrimmaging as well. I would guess probably at the Dwayne Carlson Stadium. They'd have a few racers on one team facing off with another set of racers. This was promised by Coach Delmonico. They are getting it done. Not just them, but all MSU athletes and athletics. Some big-time news from one of our summer teams here in town. The Souris Valley Sabre Dogs, able to pull off the season that happened this past summer. Props to them and the Expedition League, making it happen as safe as much as possible, and then completing it right before the school year started, even though a lot of teams probably had players that had to leave to go back to college, which certainly had an effect on the outlook of Expedition League baseball, but getting it done in the season. But for the Sabre Dogs, big news as they hire a new head coach from South Dakota State University. Give it up for Alex Miklos, named the new head coach of your Souris Valley Sabre Dogs. Will get to work right away in the 2021 summer baseball season. This hiring comes at the same time as former Sabre Dogs head coach Corey Thompson is hired as the new head coach for the Wisconsin Woodchucks of the Northwoods League. We wish all the best for Coach Thompson in his future endeavors. And now we move forward with the new coach, Alex Miklos. A close-to-home hiring. It's going to be interesting to see how well these guys play. If they can keep up the momentum, the playoff momentum from their first two seasons. They would have been in this past year if not for the new COVID guidelines or depending on if teams that were able to play participated and depending on how the results went for them. But still, new coach, there's going to be all sorts of new everything, probably new system, new coaching tactics, new ways of communicating with the players, building relationships. Remember that one aspect mentioned by Ryan Clark in the last episode, putting out there some entertainment for the fans, some good baseball. I'm also curious as to how they will go about recruiting and such. I think we still see some returning players for next summer because, again, those connections, they help in getting used to where they used to play at or where they're playing at currently. They know what they're getting into. They can also help a first-year head coach like Miklos knowing in what worked well, what didn't work well, how do we game plan, whatnot. But Coach Thompson, Corey Thompson, goes off to Wisconsin. So South Valley now enter the Alex Miklos era. And would you look at that? We got through all of that information in a great deal of time. Once again, guys, thank you for allowing me to speak into your ears, into your headphones, into your devices, wherever, whenever you are listening. The support is much appreciated. Thank you guys again. You just listened to episode 8 of the Minot Sports Podcast, brought to you by KMSU TV and Radio. Again, check us out on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Same for KMSU TV and Radio. Check out the YouTube pages where you will find the bread and butter of our content. Catch up with KMSU TV in their latest episode of MSU Inside Out this Thursday at 5. Again, got news, weather, sports, and anything just about going on in Minot State campus. That is going to do it for me on this episode. I'll talk to you guys later. Stay safe and healthy out there. Take care and have a great day.